Peter Thiel, who is one of the co-founders of PayPal with Elon Musk and is a multi-billionaire right now, has decided that he is investing in what they're calling the enhanced games. Dave Palumbo here with an RX Muscle rant. Maybe some of you have seen, we mentioned it about 6 months ago. It's back in the news now. The enhanced games. That's right. Peter Thiel, who is one of the co-founders of PayPal with Elon Musk and is a multi-billionaire right now, has decided that he is investing in what they're calling the enhanced games, which will be basically Olympic Games, but not all the sports, more individually geared sports like probably track and field, gymnastics, weightlifting. And basically the rules are, there are no rules. You can take whatever you want. You want to take anabolic steroids, you want to take growth hormone, you can take any technology drugs you possibly can get your hands on. They don't care. They will not be testing. And they feel like in today's world, it's almost hypocrisy to eliminate or try to eliminate, the technology from sports performance. And they want to see what they can possibly dream up in terms of new personal bests, new world records. And they think that the public is interested in this. And you know what? I have to agree with them. The problem is, and by the way, they're going to be paying the athletes. So there'll actually be prize packages to win. They're not worried about amateur status and stuff like that. They're going to pay people. And what they're also doing, and which I find very interesting, is that they're saying, these are going to be safer than the real Olympics because we're actually going to medically test for health. Yes, health screening. I wonder who mentioned that before. Oh yeah, I did. I said, rather than steroid test people, they should actually be health testing people to make sure their heart's good, their kidneys are working, their liver's functioning, their blood pressure's under control. If you could take performance-enhancing drugs and be healthy, then great. Sometimes there's people who don't take performance-enhancing drugs and they're very unhealthy because they never go to the doctor, they never get blood work done, they never have their heart checked. So I like the idea behind health screening for all athletes so that we know they're all healthy. And if people want to make a personal choice to use or not use, that's up to the people. And I think that that's the way it should be. Now, the question is who will compete? Because the best in the world right now, they go and compete in the World Championships every year and the Olympic Games. If they go and compete in these enhanced games, it kind of by definition kind of calls them out as being, quote, cheaters. So how do you go back to the Olympics after doing the enhanced games? Even if you go there and make a lot of money because you win, now you have the stigma that even if you don't use performance-enhancing drugs, you're going to have the stigma that you've used them. That's why you're in the games, not just that you want to make a few bucks for yourself. So I think they might have trouble, at least initially, attracting the best of the best in the world because those people and those individual athletes still will want to be in the Olympic Games. They want to get their gold medals. They want to achieve a level of excellence, because they've been doing this their whole life. And they may not be so interested in making, quick money at the enhanced games. Now, for some people, it might be great because maybe these people are already using drugs and they're paranoid about getting caught. And they're like, you know what? I don't care. If I can make a lot of money and set some world records, I'm going to try this. I think it's all going to matter and come down to and boil down to how much money's on the line. Same thing with bodybuilding events. I mean, if you give away $1 million first place, I think you're going to have a lot of these athletes doing it. You might get a lot of athletes who come out of retirement to compete. I mean, you can get a guy like Usain Bolt, who has the world record in the 100 meters, 200 meters, who's won gold medals. He's retired now, but if he knows I could take some testosterone and growth hormone and I'm not getting tested, no one cares, I might be able to extend my career and maybe break some of my own world records, that I already set in my younger years. So you might see some ex-athletes come out of retirement and try their hand. But I think what's going to be mostly the people who will compete in these games are going to be your social media darlings. I mean, look at guys like Jake Paul, Logan Paul, who have gotten into, professional sports. Jake in professional boxing, Logan in, WWE wrestling. Those guys might be like, well, who cares? We're not really competing anyway, but we are good athletes. We can take drugs. No one's going to test us. Screw it. We're gonna jump in these games and see what we can do. So I think you're going to get a lot of superior athletes that maybe just never decided to have the discipline, or maybe just weren't good enough, without drugs to get to that, elite level in Olympic games. And maybe they'll say, hey, on drugs, I could beat a lot of these guys. I could win these things, especially if I know I'm not getting tested and I don't have to worry about passing a drug test and people showing up at my house, in the middle of the winter to drug test me randomly. Here's an opportunity where I can kind of compete and no one's going to give a crap, basically, about what I'm taking. Matter of fact, they're encouraging it. They're calling it the enhanced games. So you might even see, and this might be good for bodybuilding, we might even see the inclusion of a sport like bodybuilding in the enhanced games, because now the stigma of being jacked out of your mind is only going to help you in these games. So maybe we will see bodybuilding. Maybe Joe Wieters and Ben Wieters' dream of being in the Olympic Games might actually be a dream of being in the enhanced games. So you never know, bodybuilding might actually be included. And, at the end of the day, maybe there'll be the discovery of new drugs if this thing really catches on and people are, getting paid a lot of money and it's becoming super popular as an alternative to, these amateur Olympics where they're testing everyone all the time. And maybe there'll be scientists that have a reason to sit down and try to figure out new performance-enhancing drugs that we don't have currently on the market that might actually help people, get faster, stronger, and bigger. And that can only be good for the sport of bodybuilding, because once the stigma is removed from, using performance-enhancing drugs and no one cares anymore, and matter of fact, they're actually rewarding it in a games like the enhanced games, maybe no one will care anymore about bodybuilding. And there's a much better chance of these things getting legalized, or decriminalized might be a better way to put it. And for bodybuilding, that's great, because after all, most bodybuilders are not criminals, but by definition we become criminals because you have to use anabolic steroids and growth hormone to compete in bodybuilding. And they're unfortunately still technically controlled free substances by the DEA. So if they become decriminalized, now bodybuilders can actually participate in their sport, get the stuff legally from a pharmacy, not have to worry about dealing with underground labs. It will make the sport a lot safer. You'll have less crime. And I think that it will only enhance the sport of bodybuilding and bring it to a higher level and have more public acceptance, and probably have a lot more money coming into the sport in terms of endorsements, maybe companies backing bodybuilding shows and sponsoring them, raising prize money. So I like the fact that this guy, who's a billionaire and is getting all his rich friends to invest in this. I don't care if they make $1 trillion of it. It's only going to help our sport. So if you want to look at it from a little bit of a selfish standpoint, by other sports embracing the use of anabolics, okay, it actually basically takes the onus off of us as the criminals and makes it more acceptable to the general population. Because after all, perception is everything. If the general population perceives, the use of performance-enhancing drugs as not a big deal because everyone's doing it now in these enhanced games, then no one cares about bodybuilders anymore. We become just another group of athletes who are trying to be the best that we can be, which is really all it's ever been about. So I'm looking forward to, supposedly, if you want to get involved in the enhanced games, I think toward the end of 2024 is going to be when you can actually start enrolling and registering, and I guess they'll make a list of the exact sports that they'll be putting forth, and they're going to hold it at a Division I college campus. They're not going to be renting out ridiculously expensive stadiums or anything like that, at least not initially. That's the goal. And I guess they want to see how it's going to go. I'm excited. It's interesting to see, it'll be interesting to see who actually participates in these games, and if we see big name athletes, or if we just see retired athletes, or if we see a whole new crop of social media, wannabe athletes that are just really, really good, who are great, maybe high school and college athletes and who never went any further, now getting re-involved because of the use of anabolics. being allowed and becoming superstars in their own right. Dave Palumbo with an RX Muscle rant.